All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world, whatever time of day it is that you are watching this video. Welcome to Faith in Physiology, where I am representing the power of faith through the masterpiece of human physiology. And I do this through teaching you something about your body, giving you practical exercises and tips that I use to make me more aware of this power that is always there and that we always have the ability to tap into. I want to start today by just saying a little prayer of guidance. I always step into the video before I step into the video, I say a little prayer for myself. But I'm going to start it off for us right now because this is a concept that can kind of make people anxious. I know that when I was relearning this process for my students this year, I was a little anxious myself as I stepped into it. But it's a really powerful thing to know, and I just thought, my goodness, I feel like this is a great place to start. So at the beginning, as we step into this tiny little video that's packed full of information, keep our hearts and our minds open. When we start to feel anxious, Lord, bring us back to you. When we start to feel like we're not enough, like we don't know enough, help us bring our mind back to you. Help us to have courage to ask questions and just speak to us with how powerful you are today in this video. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay. So as I'm doing these, as I'm preparing for these, there's a million things that run through my head. Like I should teach them about this or I should teach them about that. And here's the thing. I plan on continuing these, these are going to be ongoing. And so there's going to be foundation videos and there's going to be videos where you need to watch some of the foundation videos. And I'm going for what excites me and it really speaks to me in that moment of my life. And hopefully it can translate into your life when I'm showing you. I try to use when I have that energy of oh my gosh, that's so cool. I try to bring that energy to you guys straightforward right into the next video. So I could do a video every day and there's still so much more to cover. And there's still, I'm still constantly learning about this. So as you guys are stepping into these videos where you're beginning, maybe you're a beginner 100%, or maybe you're more advanced and these are reminders. Just remember to give yourself the grace to not think that you should know all of this already and you should understand every word that I'm saying. If you don't understand a word or if you don't understand a process, great. That gives me an idea for another video. So just email me. I mean, my email should be in the description below. You can comment. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, so that you can know when I'm posting more of these videos. I try to do 2 a week. So today I have my other demonstration thing right here. But I wanted to give you just a little bit of foundation work quickly before I go into why I have this around my neck. So we're made up of trillions and trillions and trillions of cells, right? All of us, we have so many cells that are within our body that are microscopic that we can't see. We can see them globally packed together as organs, tissues, but it's hard to see cells just as individuals. So let's zoom our focus in. So some people are really good at seeing the big picture. That's fantastic. The big picture of a cell is you. But there's individual cells that work together in individual tissues to make certain organs function that make you function. Okay, so we're going to zoom in and we're going to zoom in on a cell, just a generalized cell, so that you kind of know. This might be a review from your high school biology class, but I really think it's a powerful concept and I want to bring it back home. Bring it into oh my gosh, I definitely have faith that there's something working with me. Okay, so let's look at a cell. This is our beautiful cell, and not all cells are round, but for this context, we're going to say this is a cell. And remember in your high school biology class, cells have membranes. So they have the bilayer. I'm not going to go into that too much, but that's such a fascinating thing. They have a bilayer that helps with letting things in and out. We are eukaryotes, which means that we have a nucleus. which our organelles are all membrane bound. So we have a nucleus. We have the mitochondria. I'm sure you've heard of that, the powerhouse of the cell. You have the Golgi, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which is like, Nicole, what is all this about? It's fine. Just stay with me. You have the Golgi bodies. You have vesicles floating around in here. You have ribosomes floating around in here. So you have all these things in each individual cell that's in your body, okay? And they're constantly splitting and reproducing. Now, some take longer than others. I think like red blood cells is every 7 days. Skin cells are every 30 days that they're reproducing. And so you can see red blood cells, they need to be reproducing pretty quickly. And they don't have a nucleus. Red blood cells don't have a nucleus. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to say that really quick. Now, this nucleus, remember, again, from your high school biology class, it's holding our DNA in each of our cells. And our DNA is this, that's supposed to look prettier than that. Let's go this way. There we go. Okay, it's like this spiral, okay, and it's holding your genetic material. That's the code, the giant cookbook that makes you, okay? And this giant cookbook that has been passed down from your grandma and your mom and your dad, this is what's holding all the different recipes that make you. Now, what they're coming to find is, yes, this matters, but not as much as we once thought it mattered. And I don't want to go too far into saying that, but I'm literally talking about one little thing that we have in our bodies that makes this so cool. So like I said, these cells are constantly needing to split. They're making proteins for us. They're making hormones for us. They're doing all sorts of things. And when we get a signal in here, when there's a signal that comes in and says, hey, I need you to make this protein. So we'll put protein right here. They make proteins. I need you to make this proteins, which you are made up of proteins, okay? I need you to make these proteins. Or I need you to make these enzymes, which enzymes are just little helpers that make processes in your body happen or happen faster. I need you to make proteins. I need you to make enzymes. Let's see. I need you to make, for now, those are the only two that I'm thinking about. I know there's one more thing, but for what we're using today, these are the two big ones, okay? Now, when this process starts to happen, say, let's go to splitting, creating new cells. Remember, what happens is these little strands are bound up really, really, really tight. So this is what I have here, okay? Hopefully that wasn't bumping my microphone this whole time. If it was, well, this video is void. But so here is a unwound representation of your DNA. Now, they don't have paintbrushes at the end. You have telomeres at the end so that they don't unravel. That's what that's called. But just know that it's not a fact that you need to like really, really, really hit hard on. Now, if you know anything, you know that it's a helix, a double helix, and it's bound up really tight like this. So it's twisted. And there's bonds in the middle here. So I'll draw a picture of that. So if this is unwound, there's little bonds happening in the middle here. And these bonds are very specific, very, very specific. You see how it's kind of big one with a little one, big one with a little one. These are all bonded in there energetically. And this is the code that your enzymes read to produce proteins, produce those enzymes, produce you, produce certain effects in your body, hormones, things like that. Okay, so it's double helix, it's twisted like this, and it's twisted up and it's bound up really, really, really tight in our bodies. It's bound around these little balls. Okay, they look like little balls, but you've seen it as like this. It looks like this or like that. Okay, so they're bound up, spiraled up really, really, really tight, really, 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 really tight. and they make these little X's as your chromosomes, okay? But what happens? We have all this code, all this information. It's all bound up, so tight, so spiraled up that it's, if I were to keep doing this, these would eventually come together. You see what I'm saying? Like if I twisted this and kept twisting, which I realize now that I made this probably too long for that example, but if I were to keep twisting, they would eventually come and meet, okay? There, that's perfect. You see that X right there. That's happening, okay? So they're twisted up. Now, what happens when we need to get to this information, right? Well, it has to unravel, and it has to do it safely. So what happens is an enzyme, which again, an enzyme is a little structure in our body, a little molecule in our body that allows processes to happen or happen fast, okay? So this molecule comes in and it will bind on to your DNA at a certain spot where it doesn't take a lot of energy to bind there. And there's certain bonds that it likes to look for, okay? And so this enzyme, here, we'll draw it in bright blue. We'll say this is this enzyme, okay? Right here. It binds on here and it starts breaking the bonds between these things and unraveling it. So it starts to, so say I have my genetic material right here. And I'm going to put this in my pocket for you. And so say I get this is the enzyme. It's called DNA polymerase, okay? And it comes in here, and it's 3, and it starts to split this, okay? And starts to open it up. You see how it's opened up right there? So that we can start getting to that material, that genetic material. So we can make more or make a copy of this. Okay, so what we're saying, DNA replication here. So as we are trying to replicate this, we have to split it. And there's a lot of checks and balances in this process. It's very, very specific. I think that it's a 1 in 10 million that there's a mess up in this process. Okay, so because there's so many different checks and balances in DNA replication. Okay, so you saw it splitting. It's splitting this, and these two parts are coming apart, as you saw here. One more time. Okay, say I'm the enzyme, I'm coming in here, I'm splitting this open. The cool thing is, and I want to give you a little heads up for why this was so cool. So I was doing yoga this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, I kept, and if maybe you've never experienced this while doing an exercise or doing anything in life, but something just kind of like takes over and it just takes you. And the more that I've practiced yoga, the more that I recognize that this happens to me more and more. And it's just like, you need to just like rotate your body like this and just breathe. And I was like, oh. So I was doing that and I was breathing and it felt like tension was just moving out of my body. And then I would go the other way and I would breathe and tension would just come out of my body. And that's what made me think of this today. We lost our tie right here. Okay. I'm not even actually talking about this process that one is so cool. It's okay, as you start to unwind this, genetic material, so we're pushing it down, we got this enzyme separating it. Do you see what's happening over here on this other end? Is it's starting to bundle up, it's starting to scrunch up. And what will happen is once I get to a certain point, it stops me. I can't go anymore because this material over here is too tight. It's bound up even tighter. So this is where it was like, my goodness, the intelligence that is at work that we don't even think about ever is so powerful. So I'm going to erase this and I'm going to draw what I was just blown away by this morning. Okay, so let's redraw our DNA. So I'm going to draw this end is bound up, and then we have this little bubble that's been opened up. Okay, so we have our enzyme here that is going along and splitting this open. So we're just going to put him right here. Okay, we're going to say he's opening it up. Like I said, as he's opening it up, it's making these spirals tighter and tighter and tighter. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's bundling it up. And this will eventually come to a point where it can't go anymore. But hey, we still need this information, right? We still need all this material. So what happens here? And this is so cool, is there is another enzyme that comes along, and he comes in here and he will take these and he'll stretch them out. So he comes in here and he helps go before you. Right? Isn't that powerful? He helps go before you as you're replicating your DNA. So we have our little replication happening, and this one is coming in here and he is assisting, and he's like, hey, let's not get too bound up. So he's making sure that this doesn't get too tight. How cool is that? I mean, that sounds so simple, and maybe it is simple to you, but to me, I was like, what a God, right? What a God. To think of that, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. That's exactly what came to me, is like, you don't think of the stuff that's coming before you, but I do. You don't think this about the things that are in your future. You don't know, but I do. And that to me was just like, my goodness, it's called topoisomerase, just an enzyme that helps to unwind this so this process can keep going. Like, I don't know about y'all, but that was mind-blowing to me. And that was the simple thing that I wanted to teach you today. As you're replicating, and you're replicating your cells, and you're replicating your DNA to make more of you, you've got something going before you, making sure that you're not getting bound up. You're not getting caught up. And yet we trip over ourselves. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself, right? Topoisomerase. What a good representation of how, at a micro level, he's going before us, or God, intelligence is going before us. God is going before us. So that's what I wanted to show you today. Now, one of the things that we just have to do is we just have to recognize, if we can see it through the lens of that topoisomerase, like we might be over here in this part of our life, but we got topoisomerase unwinding the road before us if we would just tap in and recognize it. And so we can see our life right now through the lens of God, or we can see it through the lens of the enemy. And I think that's the biggest choice that we have, because if we choose to worry and fret every single day, then that's impacting your DNA. That's impacting how your proteins and enzymes are being made. Specific things are being made. But if we're saying, I'm right here, I'm doing what I'm called to do, I'm doing what's energizing, what's inspiring to me, what gives the glory, what opens the door for others to see this perfection, to see the perfection that already is, the perfection of God, the perfection of this beautiful intelligence that we can't understand fully, and we never will. If I stay right here, if I stay in the split, let me draw this again so that I have something to point at. If I just stay right here, I know that you're working over here, and you're working behind me. Isn't that cool? These enzymes are on both sides. Topoisomerase. Big old word, just for an enzyme. I go before you, and I'm behind you, and I'm always with you, right? So great. And so if we can remember that, we can stay in the now. We can stay in the very present moment, and we can hear the voice that is saying, hey, turn this way. I need you to turn this way. And maybe you're not in your journey. Maybe you're not stopping and being present enough with the signs and signals. You're judging this illness is bad. No, what if it's trying to get your attention and you're not listening, so it has to scream louder? I always say, if you listen to the body when it whispers, you won't have to hear it scream. The same thing. Are you listening to the subtleties and judging them as the enemy? Or can you stop and make the choice of like, okay, this is obviously trying to interrupt my life. can I pause and recognize that something's going before me? Something's working behind me. I just need to be right here present in this journey of my life, and not judge this as right or wrong, but give me your eyes for just 1 second, right? Let me see how you're working and use me in the future, okay? And then it's working itself out. I don't know if any of that is as powerful to you, but to me, you can take it at the cellular level, micro level, and you can look at this enzyme that was given to us. That to me is so cool. So as we are going, this is the exercise that I would like you guys to pause and be present with. So it's being right here in this now, in this moment, without judging it as right, wrong, good, bad. Can you just be here? And so to be here, I want to take you through something that I learned in my yoga certification. And yoga literally just means being in the now. It's not a religion. It's not a worship of anything except for being in your temple, okay? And that is literally what yoga means, right here, right now. And the practice of poses is asana. And there's a pose at the end of the practice that most people have heard about, Shavasana, where you just lay. And that's actually, I think, one of the hardest poses, especially for the Western culture, because our mind gets ahead thinking that we need to be doing this, the unwinding, when really you just need to be staying right here. And Topoisomerase is working in your future. But because we don't trust this, and because we don't know this, we can't just stay right here. To me, that's just so powerful. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to do a practice that I practice in Shavasana. So you can be sitting, you can be laying down. Heck, if you can only be standing, then be standing. If you're driving, don't close your eyes, because I do know some people that are driving while they're listening to my videos. Don't close your eyes, just envision with me, okay? Especially if you're driving in a city. Maybe just do this later, okay? So you can begin to close your eyes and just take note of your breath for a moment. Just take note of where it's naturally going. And before we dive in too deep, let's say a prayer of protection. God, you provided this topoisomerase in our bodies, in every single little tiny cell. You provided this enzyme that's going before us and unwinding the path so that we don't get stuck, so that we don't get bound up. And I thank you so much for that. That is something I think to worship, and we worship you for that. Like, our minds can't comprehend your higher thoughts, and this is a great representation of that. So we thank you so much. As we step into this exercise of being right here, present in the now with you, can you guide us? Can you protect us from the enemy thoughts that we create in our own minds? Can you protect us from the battles that we're going, or not from, but during the battles that we're going to face? And keep us safe knowing that you're unwinding the path before us, and you're taking care of the path behind us, and that you're taking care of us right here in the middle as well, right here where we are right now. So the only place that we need to be is right here, right now. So as we dive right here, right now into our bodies, just be with us. Allow us to receive the message that is meant for us individually. And we give you all the glory. In your name we pray. Amen. So as we begin, take your position. You've been breathing. Maybe you were listening to my prayer and your breath just naturally started going somewhere. Beautiful. Just recognize that. And then I want you to begin by feeling the space between your eyebrows. Feeling the space. You don't have to touch it. Just noticing that space between your eyebrows. And one of my favorite verses in the Christian Bible is, "You are the light of the world. That is Jesus saying that to us. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill should not be hidden. That is my favorite verse in the entire Bible. And so I like to look through a little lens of light. Light gives off heat, gives off information, gives off life. So I like to look at a little ball of light right there between my eyes. And I feel that heat as well, that little spot. And then take this awareness to the center of your throat. This bright light, this warmth. Can you feel it? Take this awareness and move to the center of your chest, your heart space. Notice this little ball of light. Allow it to warm the entire space. Then take your mind to your right shoulder, your right elbow, your right wrist, the tip of your right thumb, the tip of your right index finger, the tip of your right middle finger, the tip of your right ring finger, the tip of your right pinky finger, your right wrist, your right elbow, your right shoulder, the center of your chest. Notice the heat radiating in that space. Your left shoulder, your left elbow, your left wrist, the tip of your left thumb, the tip of your left index finger, the tip of your left middle finger, the tip of your left ring finger, and the tip of your left pinky finger. Your left wrist, your left elbow, your left shoulder, your heart space. Notice that warmth hit there again. Your solar plexus, right at the bottom where your ribs meet. The space just below your belly button. Your pubic bone. Give it a minute to warm up that space. Then take your mind to your right hip, your right knee, your right ankle, tip of your right big toe, tip of your second toe, tip of your third toe on the right, tip of your fourth toe on the right, and tip of your pinky toe on the right. Right ankle, your right knee, your right hip, pubic bone, left hip, your left knee, your left ankle, the tip of your left big toe, tip of your left second toe, tip of your left third toe, tip of your left fourth toe, and tip of your left pinky toe. Left ankle, left knee, your left hip, your pubic bone, that space right below your belly button, your solar plexus. Pause here, allow that warmth to move through that space. Move up to your heart space, heart center, the center of your throat, right between your eyes, and then a space just above your head, on the top of your head. Now you can lay here as long as you would like, just allowing that warmth to move through your body. Maybe it's washing over you right now. Maybe you're having an experience. But just remembering to take time to just be here right now. If you just play this part over and over again, that's perfect. Just being present and not worrying about this in the future. Because the more you worry, the more you change this process and the harder these things have to work, these enzymes have to work. And so I step forward. I pray that you can move forward and have a daily practice where you're just being here in the now, so that you can be present and not be hearing the voice of worry, but being present, knowing that your topoisomerase and the intelligence that gave you topoisomerase is working before you and behind you. Thank you, guys.